On.
We're on. All right.
Did it again.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 31.
The council goes to the beach.
That's right.
That's good.
Yes. Yes. Michael, you're not gonna have one.
I'll try to
I got so happy last night when I compared him to Jack Nicholson.
Dude, it was the best thing ever.
I was like,
Sorry.
I
I was like, I can die
He
happy.
was in the daylight. He was over here. I mean, in the nighttime, he was wearing like shades.
I was like, that's wait, my crazy bitch
Jack
is crazy.
And we are the Force Joke Podcast, right?
Woo!
And we're excited to bring a great show. But before we do, we want to introduce the council. But before we introduce the council, on top of that, we have a very special guest. This is
Hi.
AJ from 96.5 The Beach. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. I've been
Very
wanting to do that joke ever since I saw that thing. So. Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. It's really cool.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you spending that time with us.
And just so you know, I have shared the Facebook post.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And so let's introduce the council next. Right over there we have.
Hi, I'm Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Hello. I'm Michael.
I'm Sarah.
She forgot her name.
Hi, Sarah.
I am Izzy. Don't panic.
Yeah. You want to tell them about your? Okay.
It's
Okay. Every other episode. Nothing. You know his name.
You know his name, damn it.
Right. Tim O'Good.
Timothy's no name, but he has one.
And I am Lewis. And we are the council. Right. We just want to give a friendly reminder to everyone. You can watch the behind the scenes every 30 minutes before every podcast. You can just go to Instagram and check us out there. And then right after we end that, we go live on Facebook right over here. We're working some things out there. We might not be live next episode, right? But we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna work.
Right, we're going to work some other things out there.
But you're still gonna get your good content.
Absolutely.
Great content.
Awesome. And
Content.
it's just content.
Just watch it.
Yeah. We're not going to say it's great. It's just content, okay?
Just watch your blatant content.
You just described my show on the beach. It's just content.
All right. So if you go over to, we have like what? Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Vero, Twitter.
Tim took down the Tinder. I don't know why.
You were very successful on it, Tim. What happened?
I don't know how that thing works.
Was it like the Gmail thing? The mail slot was getting filled too
That was too much mail.
That's funny.
All right. So on all those platforms, you can find our pics, gifs, videos, artwork, podcasts, all that great stuff. So
Gifts?
GIFs?
Gifts?
GIFs.
Yes.
GIFs?
Gifs?
GIF.
Jeff.
Jeff.
And
We could just put a random picture of
I mean,
Jeff.
it's a delicious peanut butter.
Yes.
yeah, pictures of things that moves in.
Yes. So go to all that stuff and look for pictures of Jeff. Okay?
Yeah, put Jeopardy.
Yes.
Nah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll trade Jeff for 500, please.
Sorry, Jeff.
All right. So now that we got that all sorted out, we got a question. Are there any milk mookers out there with delusions of grandeur? Because we're headed to the Outer Rim for some hot Han Solo spoilers.
You didn't say
He said milk You got it.
I was like,
Well,
what you just put in my mind. Thank
And that's where we earned the radar tag.
Yes. So, we got reactions and spoilers and Easter eggs for the Han Solo movie. We're going to be talking about more about that. So, Council, you ready? AJ, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's get it on. Micah, I know you love the Outer Rim, so hit us up with something spicy.
How do you leave that? Talk. So I know we're going to rank the Solo movie later. Last episode, we actually had a spoiler-filled podcast. We didn't have a chance to rank it, so we're going to do that today. That being said, I'd like to ask everyone here at the table, but specifically this man here.
Mhm.
How do you feel about the ongoing Star Wars fan and civil war that continues at Rated R?
It's travesty. Can't we all just get along?
Yes.
You know. It's funny being a fan of this kind of stuff because I'm more of a I'm into comic book stuff too. Always in any of these genres or any of these franchises, people like to get into fights over the weirdest stuff you don't expect.
Yeah, I know, and this is off Star Wars, but like when DC's had their third or fourth reboot within the last
Now the sets, they did the New 52, and then they did the Rebirth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of fans get an uproar about that, and but I was thinking that the same thing was going to happen to Star Wars, that they were going to reboot it, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they're just going to continue on with what they're doing. But in saying that, now fans are calling for Kathleen Kennedy.
Get the boot. Right?
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I know that she and who's the director of Solo, or not Ron Howard, but one of the producers or something, they've been on Twitter, people got mad at them for some of the comments they made about fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, these fans kind of brought you to the table a little bit. So
Yeah.
you gotta show them some level of respect. At the same time, I think as artists, they're trying to expand on the universe. They're trying to do something new, do something different. Because part of the reason I went and saw Solo was Rogue One. I didn't know what to think. I saw Rogue One. I'm like, okay, almost kind of doing a better job of expanding the universe than Lucas did
Yeah.
with episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take my head off with that lightsaber.
Yeah.
But you should show respect to fans. I think people need to relax a little bit.
Mhm.
If they have to reboot it, they have to reboot it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it technically has already been rebooted because before Disney bought the franchise, anyone remember Tales of the Jedi comic book?
Oh, yeah.
The Dark Horse books,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff they were doing
Timothy
before it got bought.
Dalton
All that's gone. They had Han Solo stories, all those novels.
Mm-hmm.
There were novels. Wasn't there a set of 3 novels that took place after Jedi, Return of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
and Solo and Leia had twin Jedi kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were being trained?
Yeah.
That's all scrapped.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. And right before that happened, there was a series of enemies, because I love buying statues and collecting Star Wars stuff. There was a set that they were going to come out with, and it was Jaina Solo, and it was in a Bushido style.
Bushido?
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Style of anime character, but it was Jaina Solo. So that came out, and I didn't buy it, and I should have, because when it came out, it was like $45. But then right after that, Disney bought it and said all that is gone, and then that thing skyrocketed to like $500, like within a week.
Right.
Because it's no longer canon. You know what I mean? So I missed out on that. I messed up.
DC's explained this all to us. It's called the multiverse. Okay?
Yes.
It's just another Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, in Rebels, do you watch like the animated series?
No, I haven't gotten around to the newer version of the Clone Wars and stuff.
In the Rebel series, towards the end of it, huh?
Go ahead.
No,
Are you going to talk about what they did to the show at the end?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, what I was going to specifically.
Somebody go ahead, please.
Let me stop you.
No, in the Rebel series, the one that just ended, there is a Jedi temple, right, that they went into, and it gave them access through different portals to different specific time frames throughout Star Wars history. And so at one point in time, Anakin, who's already turned to Darth Vader, is facing off against Ahsoka, his old Padawan, and another character pulls her out before Vader's able to, he's going to kill her. And they pull her out and, in essence, save her, which creates a different split on what reality is.
When they pulled her out from that moment in time, they reached into like this time gate and they pulled her out, saved her from being killed by Darth Vader. and pulled her into their time, which is like 5 years
future?
into the future, 8
Wow.
years into the future.
Yeah.
And this is canon, and to have that, like, it's very like,
Yeah.
different.
Well, because there's always speculation that she survived, but there was no evidence to suggest it. To prove it.
Right.
Until that, it really reminded me. Have you seen Matrix Reloaded?
Yeah.
So they had a program that opened the door, and like there's all these back doors and everything to go from program to program. It seemed like that was similar to me because like you just have like pathways all over the place, and they go through the door, it opens up, and then like pulls a route of like I guess what that timeline would have been, or that section of the timeline. And it reminded me of them going from one point in the Matrix, being going into like the loading program, which was like the doorways, and then going into the next one. I don't know. It kind of looked like that.
That was cool because in the show, like as he's walking through this area, like where all these doors are at, you're hearing like he's passing by doors that have something that hasn't even happened yet. It's like way in the future.
Yeah.
You trying to tell me behind one of those doors is the universe with the droids cartoon from the 80s? Is that?
You
I
want
guess I'm the one
special.
that like it.
That sounds very fascinating. I mean, like, you know, if anyone that collects comic book stuff, I mean, Crisis on Infinite Earth, stuff like that, you see these multiple universes, reboots, and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with it if it's executed well.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. This is another story, right?
Yeah.
Another story.
And I think that's why they didn't expand too much on that. It's just the little things that you heard were really specifically from the movies. So, I mean, it didn't treat it as if, I didn't really take it as like actual alternate timeline, just simply it was a portal to this one singular timeline, but they're obviously different.
Yeah. So at that point in time,
Because you're walking around, you hear like opposite voices, I think, like
You hear Ren and
even from 3, like you hear something in the past, like, you hear
Ren.
episodes 1 through 3, and then you hear something through the rest.
episode 7, like you hear stuff.
because Rebels happens like right before you would think Rogue One
Rogue
Okay.
takes place. But that character's hearing like Kylo Ren's voices, which is he's not even born yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it opened up such a.
And I think it's cool to do stuff like that. You certainly see it in the Marvel universe and all that stuff too. But there was one thing that ticked me off in Solo that apparently makes reference to one of the series that like I don't think a lot of people know about.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil that until we get to it.
Okay, cool.
But that ticked me off. I'm like, okay, it's cool, but you can't like, you know, Marvel does a good job of you can just watch the main movies and you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You don't have to see Daredevil. You don't have to see all that stuff too. It's a fine line to walk. I mean, for fans like us, you can get really into it, deep into it, but for the average person, you know, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point. My wife is kind of like that. She watches Star Wars because I like it. You know what I mean? What am I talking about? I love Star Wars. But you know, she does it just because, you know, I love it, you know, and I would say she's a very, very, very casual fan. You know what I mean? So you know, okay. But was that what you were gonna bring up, Tim? What? Was that what you were gonna bring up?
What about the time?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, and so you know, kind of bringing that back to you know, fans not agreeing with this or agreeing with that. You know, I know Michael was saying, you know, at what point is it too much? You know what I mean? And I kind of put out there, well, just give us everything. And if I like movies, I'll watch movies. If I like comics, I'll read comics. You know what I mean? If I like cartoons, I'll watch cartoons. You know. And so I think they just, like you said, everybody just calm down and enjoy it. Right?
Enjoy it.
You know, and initially, I know Disney took over, but initially, I think even George Lucas said, you know, like, hey, look, I made Star Wars because when I was a kid, I liked Flash Gordon, this and that.
The old movies.
Yeah, and he's like, when I appreciated that the most when I was like 8, 9, 10, and this is who these movies are kind of geared towards, you know what I mean? And a lot of people are going into like, oh, well, you can't do this in space, and how can you do that? I mean, it's just for fun. You know?
Well, it's also a testament to you can even go down that road. When does the art that Lucas created, when all of a sudden, when he made the changes in the special editions,
Yeah.
at
Deep
least,
breath.
yeah, he wanted to do it for himself because it's his piece of art.
Yeah.
But when it's so big that the whole world loves it, at what point does it no longer become his? You get into that kind of weird debate.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see anything wrong with it as long as it's executed well. If it's executed poorly, just move on. And
Yeah.
I mean, look at Marvel, The Incredible Hulk, that movie Tank. They
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And now everything's fine.
And then they made two, right? One with Eric Bana and then one with
They had Hulk, and then
The Incredible Hulk takes place.
It's part of that.
It's part of that, yeah.
yeah, that universe, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. So we just wanted to get your thoughts on, how fans are reacting. We'll get your reaction to Han Solo. We'll save that for later. But the actual just encompassing of where Disney and they're taking Star Wars.
I think fans are just insulted by the way they feel like they're being treated by these people that have taken home over this franchise. I think the people doing that, they need to show them a level of respect. At the same time, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world.
And we were having a discussion, I think, Micah and I, if I can remember. And so since Disney's taken over, they've done The Force Awakens, Rogue One, they've done The Last Jedi, and Solo.
Mhm.
Those four. So which director had it the toughest?
Oh yeah, that was a conversation we had. So they had the 4 directors. So Ryan Johnson, Ron Howard, Gareth Edwards,
Mhm.
and then J.J. Abrams, right?
Yeah.
And so the conversation we had, there was a picture that I think loaded actually on Vero. Like you can say like who had the toughest as far as the content that they had to put out, the expectations that they met and everything, and just who actually did a lot of this. So like J.J. Abrams, it's kind of it was the first movie, so it had so much expectation behind it. Where was the story going to go and everything?
And Disney wanted, from what I recall, because I saw the interview George Lucas did with Charlie Rose, and he talked about when he gave the helm over to Disney, they wanted to make a nostalgia piece. They told him, straight up, we want the nostalgia of the old movies. He's like, I don't want to do that because I want to expand the universe.
Yeah.
Ergo, episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
So Abrams, obviously being a fan, having grown up on it, and here's a guy, he just rebooted Star Trek and kind of did give a middle finger to all the Trekkies out there with his movies.
Yeah.
Even though they're really good,
Yeah.
he did kind of give a middle finger to everything that had come before.
Mhm.
Nope, they're starting over. And but yeah, I agree with you. I think you come into that, that's huge.
It's just because like even from just a storyline perspective, because you have to figure out what to create, but then you have stories that are pretty much already written in Rogue One.
Mhm.
Like who executed the best as far as the movies they did, but then trying to create that content and the story. And so Gareth Edwards, like I think he was one of the best ones as far as the directors that we've seen, but it's kind of like, well, he knows that. So it's not like he had to come up with too much, creative process. Not to say he didn't have to be creative about it, just like he knew where it started and where it ended. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have anyone to get mad and like, why the hell did you do that? Well,
It has to go this
that
way.
precedes
Rogue
episode 4, and episode
Yeah.
4 is already established, And that's why I think we're just kind of fans are trying to do some bullshit. As far as like episode 8, trying to there was a petition out there to actually redo episode 8. There's some
now that you say that, I did see on Bureau that there was a link, a YouTube link, and I didn't push it because I was kind of like whatever. And it said it had the picture of a man, and then it had the background of The Last Jedi, and it says this is the man who will fix The Last Jedi for us. And it was a YouTube link, so I was like, oh come on, man, get over it.
Yeah.
Tim wants to know.
I think,
Join Bureau, Tim.
and also like, no matter what, you're always gonna piss some fans off.
Yeah.
You mentioned DC, the New 52, and the Rebirth. As a Superman fan, I enjoyed it, but people are like, again.
Yeah.
There's a reason. The interest people lose interest. People aren't going to buy comics the way they used to.
Yeah.
They're worried about the waning audience. With Star Wars, it's a different beast because kids are always going to want to see these movies.
Yeah.
Parents are always going to be dragging these things.
Yeah.
They're always going to make them money. Of course, not quite what they hope for Solo, but that's it. There are other reasons for that too.
Yeah.
You'll find out later.
Because they're saying it's almost gonna break even. something like that, because they dumped so much money
Yeah.
and had to pretty much redo the film almost all over again. What, 80% of it? They had to do all over again.
No, it wasn't 80. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was 80. Yeah, it was 80.
80% of the movie they didn't do.
It's
So 30 minutes on the map.
when I heard Von Howard jumped on it, I'm like, Willow, this guy's worked with Lucas. He's gonna do fine with this
Mhm. Yeah, we'll get more into
movie.
that. All right, so let's move on to our next phase here. Sarah,
Yep.
you crying already?
I am.
You're crying
Aw.
from
Yeah.
your diary entry.
Yeah.
So, why don't you talk to everybody out there about
Okay.
what you're gonna?
So,
What did your book say?
it's just a whole bunch of words. Words.
It's just
Yeah,
words.
it's words.
We have to. She has struggled with
With reading.
the words.
Yeah, words are difficult. So bear with me.
It's another.
So after we saw Solo the first time, I'm going to read my diary and I'll explain later. Okay,
Yes.
sounds good. Okay. Dear Diary, a few weeks ago, the council went to go see Solo. And I'll be honest, I didn't have the highest expectations going in, but I left feeling pretty content. We all went to go get dinner after, and everybody loved it. Did I miss something? I thought to myself when I decided. I thought to myself, and then I decided I had to go give Solo another shot. Oh my god. So, a few days later, I went to see Solo again, and already knowing a major God.
It's Friday.
I know, I forgot. Plot point. That allowed me to just watch the movie and soak it in. And as it turns out, I did miss something. A ginormous electric octopus monster. How in the heckin' crap did I miss a giant octopus monster? But anyway, Solo turned out to be pretty freaking great. The content and character development were awesome, and I can't wait to see more of Alden Ehrenreich and more Star Wars stories. Okay.
Beautiful entry.
Thank you.
There.
He doesn't name it Frank. Okay.
It's not Jeff.
Oh, it's not Jeff? My bad.
And we're gonna get you and everybody else's ranking on Solo later in the show. Thank you for your diary entry. Yeah.
It was
It was
a
hard.
train wreck.
Lots of
Yeah.
lots of words.
Lots of words.
Yes.
Yeah. And I spelled most of them wrong, so I think that's why I had
She's
to
getting
reading
better.
them.
She's getting
I'm
better with
getting
the words,
better. We're gonna
AJ.
have fourth grade level now.
The numbers, she's still having difficulty with.
When you're writing down, you miss spell check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at all
So
those
that's what she's going to swim for.
Yes.
scribbles. What?
Nothing.
No,
I
I
said
said
nothing.
nothing.
I did.
Nothing.
Oh my
Should I
God.
play that one? What's that song we played last time?
Sometimes people.
Oh,
I
should play that, yeah.
Oh,
You're gonna play
that's
the last
right.
one.
Yeah, we had.
You didn't prepare.
We forgot the diary.
Oh,
Sorry.
dang it. That's why.
Yeah, that's what it was.
She was needing
Yeah.
a sound back. She just.
I get too caught up in that song. That's why I was like starting to cry a little. Oh yeah.
Plot
You
holes,
turn it off, right?
Yeah.
You just
I'm like-
keep it going.
plot holes, plot holes, plot holes.
There were plot points, okay? Hot points?
Okay.
Hot points.
Plot point.
Plot points, pot points, potholes.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Alright.
This is the Star Wars podcast. And so now we're going to spend some time on our guest, AJ. So, Izzy,
Okay.
kick
So
it off.
thank Sarah for sharing your feelings with us.
Very good.
Thanks for putting me on. Your diary gets me every time, but now we're gonna focus on our guest. Okay. So
Suckers.
AJ, if our fans would like to connect with you, how would they go to reach you?
I make it very easy. Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, same handle, AJBeach965. On Vero, which is where we met, it's just AJ Radio. So if you want to, follow my shenanigans or lack thereof, feel free to do so.
Very. Oh my goodness.
So next, I'm going to start off with the Q&A segment with a tough question. It may be the toughest one you'll have to answer this year, but it is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Thank you.
dun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, 331. 331 is a Force Choke original. It's where we offer you 3 choices, 3 seconds to make your decision, and you must give one answer.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. So the scenario is you heard the new boss at your station is on his way as you're doing your radio show. The new boss is pissed and barges into the studio. Who would you rather be? Okay. 1, Chewbacca. 2, Darth Vader. Or 3, Jabba the Hutt.
Darth Vader, because you give him the Force choke.
All right. All right. I like that. Okay.
I didn't shiver.
So you're about to punch him because your boss is not there, he's choking you.
Don't be the first time they barge in yelling at me.
How even with Java margin? Like, how would you do that? You
No,
know,
there's-
Oh my goodness. Hey, that's pretty good. Well, you know what? Maybe this is a great chance because I heard AJ can speak Wookiee.
Oh, wow.
You alright?
That was her other Wookiee
Did
impression.
you read that from your diary too?
There you go.
Tim, talk to him.
Yes, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
No, yours was good, Tim.
Not gonna throw. Not
I
gonna
think Sarah, I know.
Stop the
Sarah's
clip.
good.
You have to.
No,
do
I
it.
can't. Okay.
I don't even think she knows what a Wookiee sounds
I
like.
can't do it.
That's a board. We had
And we established it as a small Wookiee.
No, we established that that's Chewie's
Okay.
meal.
Do a distress Wookiee.
I can't.
A Wookiee falling out of a plane.
There you go. Full size.
Wookiee falling out of a plane. He's, oh shit. Struggle. I know you know English.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so you're doing great, man. So we hear this is your first podcast,
Yes.
all right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I just want to let you know that you'll never forget your first, right?
I wish I could on any level.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully not this one.
Not this
Not
one.
this one. Okay,
No,
cool.
okay.
So far.
So the follow-up question is like, how did you get started in all this your radio business, and how long have you been doing it?
Obviously, I walked in and said, "Give me a job," and they were desperate because there's only one person running the place. No, I started back and I worked in Phoenix. They would listen to me on the beach. A couple years back, I worked for iHeartRadio in Phoenix for 16 years, and then in the way radio business works, personnel changes and whatnot, they let me go, and unemployment was interesting because I'd never been unemployed, and then the gig opened here for the beach, and I started on mornings there, and then been shifting around. So now I actually get to sleep in with everyone else, and now I go to work at 9, do more 9 to 5. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun here. I've enjoyed Corpus Christi a lot.
Yeah.
Since I've been here.
So how do you like the heat compared to Phoenix, or is that kind of comparable?
It's very different. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Compared to, when I first got here, the humidity, my face was breaking out in like dry spots all over.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I looked like had it, attack with a runaway zit or something. And but now I got used to it because in Phoenix, you always hear that joke. It's a dry heat. It is. It's like an oven there in Phoenix. There's no humidity, so it's just hot. So you walk out, the sweat actually cools you off. You walk out here, your sweat just makes things worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've gotten used to it. I mean, like today's like 92 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Something like
In Phoenix, it's like 104. I've been in Phoenix like 124 degrees.
that. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, it gets hot there. And then in Phoenix, we get the haboom, which is all the dust that comes up over the mountain. It rains for 5 minutes. Everyone loses their damn mind on the road. And and then it's humid for like an hour, and then it's back.
Yeah.
Then that's all the rain for you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't need to fire up a pig. I just have like this skillet you throw it
We used to do that when I was in grade school. Funny enough, I actually remember wearing my Return of the Jedi green T-shirt with the Wookiee. They took the science experiment with the aluminum foil and you cooked the egg on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, out there, like 100 and whatever degree weather.
What are you doing? I'm bringing salt, pepper, cool.
So my question is not on there, but do you like sand? You do? Yeah.
Not in certain places, but
Yeah.
yeah.
In general. Yeah, because I just heard the dust and the equivalent of sand here. It's just like, I mean, when it's so windy in Corpus.
Yeah, the wind is something. Yeah.
It's just like if you go to the beach, a lot of the time it's just smacking you in the face, and it can be challenging to.
Sometimes you feel like you're on Tatooine.
Exactly.
Like it's
Exactly.
sand in the face.
Yeah.
Send Anakin.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, we're glad that you're here, Corpus. Now. You're able to join us. So.
Thanks for having me. I want to say I love you to my lovely girlfriend Chelsea because she deserves it.
All right, Chelsea.
There you go.
Excellent. Oh.
You okay? Okay.
She just needed a moment.
Okay.
We give Izzy a moment just every once in a while. Yeah.
Izzy,
and then everybody. Yes. Don't. You're not gonna. Not like us.
Don't Anakin have to tell him.
Yes.
Ow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jesus.
What's that line from the book? You sat that movie for a prefect. There's a fruit that really knows where Sal is. I'm like the words were like terrific guy, terrifically amazing guy, something like that. I just remember.
Yeah, something like
Don't
that.
put my hook.
Well, you know, speaking of towels,
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so better.
You're
There we
still
go.
there?
Oh, nice.
Right.
Help them stretch that out.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
it's upside down.
95.
So we got the towel, and these are limited edition Beach 96.5 towels. They're multi-purpose. You can dry yourself with it. You can wear it as a cape.
Yes.
Play peekaboo with your little one.
Yes.
What is for hand-to-hand combat?
Yes.
There you
And,
go. I left a couple of these for you guys.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Love it. So, now that we know you like sand, how you got your job?
Yeah.
How long you been doing it? I think Micah.
Oh, is this with the asterisk theaters?
Yeah.
Oh.
that would be
It's my turn, guys.
your turn.
Again. I think I was gonna come back to me. So, how long have you been a Star Wars fan?
You and I are about the same age, so it's definitely, when you grew up in the 80s, that's boom. I mean, I never saw A New Hope in theaters. I saw it on TV, but my mom did take me to the old Cine Capri in Phoenix, which was a giant one movie theater. It was huge. We saw Empire there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the statue of Princess Leia in there.
Oh, nice.
that's
So it was pretty cool when I was a kid, but you're still, and I mean, growing up, there are probably people our age that probably never seen a Star Wars movie and probably know enough about it.
Yeah.
Because it's so embedded in our culture.
Exactly.
It's such a huge thing. But I do remember they show cartoons at the beginning of it. It's going to sound a little racist. I was probably 4 at the time, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But apparently they showed like old school Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah.
And the old school ones that were a little kind of racy towards African Americans.
Yeah.
And apparently my mom said, I flipped out and said, Mama, look, there's Oonga Boongas on it.
Oh, no.
My mom, and there was some people in front of us, my mom got them.
Yeah.
Farther
We're
back.
going that way.
They would have the, like there were some old school Bugs Bunny cartoons, but they had like Bushmen,
Yes.
like out of Africa that were trying to hunt
They've
them down.
never seen them before.
Yeah. Very, very, you look at it now, they're very
like
racist.
Foghorn too.
Yeah.
They're very racist.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we got moved, but we ended up leaving in the scene where Han Solo was getting tortured.
Oh,
I was
really?
crying my eyes out.
Oh,
Oh, where are you? Why are you hanging out with Green Rover? You know what I mean? Like, because that was another thing. That's another shit we talked about this before the podcast. That like when I heard Yoda's voice for the first time, you kids out there, you guys, Yoda's always been around. When that Empire Strikes Back, that
It
was
was
the first time
totally
ever.
different.
And so you hear what you're hearing is Grover's voice, Frank Oz. I'm just like, why does he sound like Grover?
Yeah.
That's why I started putting together all of the people that do puppets. And okay, they're not Muppets technically. Is Yoda technically a Muppet?
I think so. I don't know.
Because if Frank Oz is doing it,
It feels like he should be a Muppet. Right?
They show all of Yoda in the other ones.
Was Yoda-
Muppets, they don't show it, all of their. They don't show their legs.
Did Yoda ever make an appearance on the Muppet?
Well, Kermit had
Well, they're
like when he's like sitting
Flopped
and
over.
eating.
I've only seen him drink tea.
Yeah.
It might have been, like a combination of both. Because there are scenes where he's just sitting down and he's talking, you don't really see anything else, but there are times where he is kind of pandering around,
Yeah.
or if he's chilling on Luke's foot upside down.
Yeah.
I do remember, but I mean, you grew up on it when that was everything. It was that,
Yeah.
those action figures.
Mhm.
Then we had like I mentioned the droids. He was cartoon over that. Being very disappointed even then.
Yes.
I was just excited for the Super Friends cartoon.
Oh,
It was superpowers.
Mhm.
Cyborg was on the Justice League.
Wonder Twin Power.
Yes. And then, but you grew up with, and then I went and saw years later, like when Jedi came out, I went and saw my mom and dad.
Mhm.
Just like everyone else, I got still in the box at home. I will say when they started releasing letterbox or widescreen editions on VHS,
You still have it?
I have the Star Wars original set with an interview with Leonard Maltin with Lucas before each movie,
Wow.
talking about prepping. You can find the interview on YouTube,
But
but he kind of touches on prepping for the new ones.
yeah.
Episode 1.
Wow. You got to transfer those to like this.
Yeah.
Or
That's
something.
they're still in. Yeah.
Because I think you mentioned it before that there's kind of like a hunt for that.
For that original.
Yes, because I think in one of the contracts, that it's a rumor that Lucas said if there are any originals, they're to be destroyed because the new stuff, the special editions, that's what's supposed to be. That was his vision, or whatever. But yeah, so that's probably
I just remembered I had that as I was talking about. I'm like, I still got those.
Yeah.
My friends and I used to watch those all the time. When they were going to college. I took a year off. And it was 4 guys living in an apartment, so that's like that's freshman year in college kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, I was collecting I got Die Hard 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, like all
Wow.
the VHS ones, and but yeah, the Star Wars we watched all the
Yeah.
time. I mean,
I know I had The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi VHS ones, but I just wore those things down to where I couldn't watch them anymore. I think that they broke, you know what I mean? So I hear you there. Man, wow, that'd be awesome to be able to watch the actual original.
Yeah.
Original.
And then I don't know, did you guys all see them when they re-released them? Was it
In the
special
90s?
edition or not? I think they.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in the 90s.
In the 90s when they
Yeah.
re-released them at the Cine Capri in Phoenix, they moved it to Scottsdale, Arizona. I don't care what you say. It's not Scottsdale, it's Scottsdale. They
Welcome to Scottsdale.
But my friends and I would wait in line. I'm sure you guys have done that. You wait in line for eons. We did the same thing with episodes 1, 2, and 3. You meet with friends. You swap out to see. Okay, I'll go get the lunch. You stay here and all that stuff. And we were waiting in line in Capri to see Return of the Jedi. This is when they re-released those. They pushed back Jedi a week because Empire was doing so well to give Empire another week. Well, when we went there, the first 100 people in line got a limited edition Jedi Luke from that line of figures at the time. That was specifically dated release of a special edition.
Oh, wow.
But it was the previous day before they pushed it back.
Oh.
So that's still there. I got that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I even have a Ghost Obi-Wan
Yeah.
that you sent away for in the cereal box.
Uh-huh. I remember those.
Do you think he was CGI puppets?
Really?
Well, he's just a ghost.
He's just.
I'm gonna move this pen away from
I
you.
know.
Your phone.
But it is crazy to see how huge it is now. For what else on here seeing about, it's insane. Like these generations of kids now that like it's so a part of their lives. But like when we were growing up, it was brand new.
Yeah.
It's such a different beast.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was it captured my my imagination and my attention so much just the characters and plot and all that stuff.
I mean, when you got two droids showing up on Sesame Street, you know it's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly, absolutely. So, who we got? Sarah? Sarah,
Oh,
you have a
my
question?
bad. So AJ, we appreciate your candidness and your honesty to this point. I'll give you a moment
Just to the
after I
point.
ask the question. This point. Are you?
Are you?
You are. Sorry.
You are.
You are in charge of the title.
We're power
Words.
But
You're in charge of the title for the next Star Wars movie, which is Episode 9. What is the title?
ooh,
Take a breath.
okay, think about
We fixed
it.
it.
Just episode 9, the final frontier.
Oh god! Just stick it.
Somebody give me a gun.
So I put the real Civil War. I know, for real. You're gonna do the.
We have a split faction. They got split again. They got split again. Now we have Star Wars fans, really Trekkie fans. We think Star Wars.
One of the Guardians of the Galaxy is in it. I'll be
That's episode 1.
fine. So I'm curious, AJ, kind of splintering off that question.
Yes.
How would you feel? I'm sorry. How would you feel like? Okay, so episode 9 would be. We're assuming the completion of a third trilogy, but how would you feel if they just kept going with Kylo Ren and?
I kind of like the splintering off, like Rogue One, Solo, stuff like that. I think that's probably the way they need to go, unless they come up with another idea. Because I always, with Kylo and Ren and all that, like I kind of assumed that when they were making these movies, they might take a page out of the old canon. We talked about the books with
Yes.
Han and his twin children. Are they gonna go do another generation Skywalker? I mean, how's that gonna work?
And talking about, I'm glad we brought up the portal thing earlier. Tim had a sort of theory as to possibly Kylo Ren and Rey over there could possibly still be
Sarah.
No, I'll put it back there. Could possibly be twins,
Twins.
I wondered that.
even though they're not particularly the same age.
What?
You know what I mean?
They're 9
No,
years.
it's close.
They're 9 years apart.
Yes.
We agreed on it. I brought that up, but we agreed on it. That sounded.
Wait, are you thinking about my theory?
Which theory is that theory?
But they were the brother and sister that were reborn.
Partially, yes.
Yeah, part of it is there.
Yeah. But now with this time portal that we're talking about, that Tim was saying, like, what if at childbirth she was taken away through that portal, and then at a certain point in time put back in? You know what I mean? And I mean, we were thinking, all kinds of possibilities in that way, but they still might be related, whether it's brothers.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this next one. I mean, like, if they're gonna make any changes because of the backlash to Solo and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I wonder if Solo got the backlash because a lot of people were saying because they didn't like The Last Jedi.
That thing is part of the do with the Civil War, the true friend, I see.
True
That's
friend.
what I'm messing
Your
on.
friend.
I try to say true fans, but I say friends for friend, whatever. There's no such thing as true friend or true fan in this case.
That's true.
But the
Friends,
true
yes.
fan argument is because of backlash to Last Jedi, and then the changing of the guard for the directors and everything. So it's kind of like hard to pinpoint why the movie was going wrong. It's because then you also have the argument, well, who's going to
I think a part of the problem is, and it's kind of the same thing that Rogue One kind of suffered from, but Rogue One did well.
Yeah.
Was this a story that needed to be told?
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that I think a lot of people just kind of like. They're also attributing. I've heard some fan theories about burnout. We've had how many Star Wars movies in less than how long? I mean, back when we were growing, even with Episode 1, 2, and 3, you waited how long
About 3 years.
to get to that next one? I mean, we had like We have like 2 Star Wars movies in the same year, with Rogue One and
I think it was.
We're pretty close.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I think it was within a year. But not
It
at
was
the
within
same
a year.
time.
It wasn't the same calendar year.
Yeah.
Because
No, we had The Last Jedi and then Solo. Right? Last Jedi was in December,
Yeah.
and then Solo came
because
out.
last Jedi got
and then Rogue One hadn't been out that long
Yeah,
when it was in theater. I mean, like it just felt like boom, 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 like a lot of Star Wars.
yeah.
yeah.
So, well, let me ask you now on those lines. We're gonna have 3 Marvel films within less than 6 months,
Wait. Huh?
right? Then we have the Black Panther,
Black Panther,
the
Oh,
Avengers,
okay.
2 Avengers,
and now we're gonna have
Ant-Man and Wasp,
yeah.
and then Captain Marvel, but that's not out.
That's not gonna get sold, I think, March.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 3 within less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Is that too much?
See,
Then they're
I
still
mean,
making billions.
yeah.
Billions and billions and
Billions.
I think the bigger difference is with the Marvel franchise. You look at Avengers. How long did we start with Iron Man?
Mhm.
Oh, wait. Ever since that first Avengers, you see Thanos at the end of that scene.
Mhm.
How many years did it take to build and
Yeah.
building to that? Not introducing new characters. You're introducing. We got more of an explanation of Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy. So you see that kind of it just built slower.
Yeah.
It was a slow build. To it. Now
Almost
it's
like
yeah.
one huge movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then now we're here, and now we got a second movie coming out. That's not coming out for another year or so.
You know, and that's a good point. I think I'm just gonna put this out there. My wife loves Solo, right? She really loved it. At one point in the movie, she nudged me and she was like, "These scenes are really, capturing my attention." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like she just like I guess the cinematography of it. You know what I mean? It caught her eye to the point of that. And I'm ashamed to say this. She hasn't seen all the Star Wars movies. Like actually sat down and watched them.
Right.
She'll be on her phone or she'll take a nap or but
Yeah.
Solo actually wanted
Female.
we got home and
Sorry,
Actually, Logan looked like
let's
So, damn.
put that stuff away.
I know what you're saying. My girlfriend's the same way. She
Yeah.
won't sit through. And even funnier, her daughter Kyla loves the new ones.
You're talking about Forces of Destiny.
Now I'm gonna throw something at you.
No, the current movie she likes. BB-8 is her generation's R2D2.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so she likes those. I try to get her to watch the original ones. She just don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think my wife, the reason that she kind of was like, you know what, whether I watch them, great. If I don't, great, was because for her it's like at that point she was like, okay, so Luke is Darth Vader's father, right? And I was like, no. And she goes, but okay, well Luke was in the first movies and Darth Vader was. They made those movies afterwards. I'm like, okay, well, but they made those movies, but they're before these movies, and it just kind of threw her off to where she was like, you know what, just I'll
It's
take you.
small at the beginning of the movie. It's an episode. No
Yeah. And so she was like, oh, you know what, just forget it.
Yeah.
But now with Solo, she's like, you know what, I want to go back and watch them chronologically. They got her interested, and we've been just here at the house, and she's like, well, why don't you put in the next one? So we've seen Episode 1, A Phantom Menace, and Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And so, and she's the one that asked. She's like, hey, can we watch the next one now? And so that kind of, I was kind of set aback, to say, yeah, oh my God, Star Wars kind of caught a new fan with this movie. You know what I mean? So, and I think one of the things that Micah talked about is, I think they're capturing more fans, possibly too newer fans, with the CGI that they use.
The technological aspect.
There you go.
It looks
Thank you.
way cleaner than you would the original.
Yeah. So.
Because especially for what we see this day and age with resolution, technology, and everything, you have someone not knowing they hear the stories, they don't have to see the movies. So it's like, okay, well, let me watch the first one that came out, and you see episode 4, and you're like, this one's like good and quality. I mean, obviously we got it in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I think that might be an aspect. Because now you got 4K, you got all kinds of crazy shit. And then
Who knows that?
it wasn't like 720.
I don't think it was.
I mean, it didn't have the resolution, obviously, but you know, it's somewhat noticeable unless you watch the special edition.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're not really watching it.
Right.
So,
Well, I think Solo. I think you brought up a good point. Solo, the one that I give Solo credit, it does stand on its own, in a way that Rogue One does not, and it stands alone. And it's about this character. If you never watch any of the other stuff, you could watch that movie and be fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. All right.
one thing I wanted to say, just real quick, because you're talking about the title, I just remembered. I think it was on Twitter. It was a fan thing. But so episode 4, you had New Hope. Then you had episode 8, The Last Jedi. And so someone, as a fan, was saying, "What about if episode 9 was titled The Last Hope, with Rey coming into the fold, and having a chance to stop this? If this is the last movie that we see for this Skywalker lineage." And I don't know. It seemed like it seemed simple, but really kind of poetic. To the story.
But
So
then that goes opposed against to my whole thing, where it's The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi. Right? I feel like that's almost a continuation, right? Of one sentence they're trying to create.
The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi,
I think that was
The
right.
Final Frontier.
Yeah, damn it.
And at the very end, we have Jean-Luc Picard.
That's pretty good.
That damn Jim. He's like, "Hello, folks." But I don't know. I just heard that. I thought it was really kind of cool.
Yeah, no.
If that is the case, the running title like that, I think that was Ryan Johnson trying to keep it.
Yeah.
I had no intention of that.
Yeah. And then we've also talked about, I think Izzy brought it up, to where like how we have movies like, let's take what's the one with Candace Bertie? What is that called?
Katniss,
Oh, the names?
The Hunger Games, where they had like
Oh, the episode
part
that
1,
three was
2, but 3 was like 2-part.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Harry Potter.
How would you feel
Yeah.
if they did something like that?
I mean,
Whatever.
if they can make it work, they make it work.
Yeah.
It's not. I've evolved as a geek, as a fan,
Mhm.
to not knee-jerk react to the
Yeah.
news before you hear about it. When I heard, was it Favreau? By the way, I saw your guys' interview with Favreau. Brilliant job.
Thank you.
Very
That was
good.
all Sarah. Sarah set that up.
Yeah.
We had some technical difficulties at the very beginning of that. That was my fault. I'm sorry, Sarah. But the
She
rest
can
was all
apologize
Sarah.
to John. Is he gonna come back now?
Uh,
Very forgiving.
Yes, yes.
But people react to him directing the series.
Mhm.
We don't know what it's gonna look like. You gotta wait and see.
Yeah.
You have to wait and see. Because guess what? Some of the best directors have put out some schlock and some garbage too.
Yeah, that's
You know.
true.
Certainly, if somebody's got a great track record, then you're like, okay. But then every once in a while they fall off.
Mhm.
You know. I mean, did you ever see Spielberg's 1943?
I haven't.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it.
Good. But what I think can be good is AJ. I got the next question for you. Yes. AJ, we know you have a smooth radio voice,
Yes.
right?
He's like, do I?
But I'm wondering in particular, could you be just as smooth as Lando? And I'm going to ask you, in your best Lando voice, if you could, here you go. It's highlighted right there. In your best Lando voice, if you could read that for us. It's a Star Wars pickup line.
Tim crafted it
I
himself.
was like, Tim likes those.
Lando doesn't have a saber.
Okay. It's funny you brought this up because I actually, I'll tell you guys for come online. I got to Chelsea. Let's see here.
I rated it. So Jack Burton. That's how I rated it.
Jack
This is
Burton.
old Jack Burton and Pork Chop Express.
Jack Burton. Who? All right, AJ's ready. Let's hear it.
Baby, your beauty reminds me of that classic poem. You know the one. My saber is red. Those Jedi tell lies. Lava nearly burnt me dead. But sweetheart, your body will make me rise. It's funny you brought up Lando because it kind of like reminds me of when I met my girlfriend Chelsea, and she saw this. And I said, "Baby, I know it's not as big as others, but it's not the size of your lightsaber. It's how you know it's." I already screwed up the joke. Can't believe. Okay, sorry. Take two.
Take two.
All right. Baby, I know it doesn't look as large as other lightsabers, but it's not the size. It's how you use the Force.
Oh,
See, Tim, it's
And,
possible.
and it worked over a year later. So there you go.
See, Tim, it's possible that your lines will work.
we are compiling.
I still have the video of him doing one.
The Oberon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh my goodness. Too fine. All right. Very good. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
That's fine.
So,
Your sports biggest mouth.
Big balls.
How long have you been with the home
oh
I
my
can
God.
shut up. Let me see.
Wow. Okay. So, ladies, right? Do you think that line would work on you?
That one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, wait. Any ladies out there that want to respond to that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Just
You ladies, not
out
ladies.
there.
You ladies.
all you single ladies out there. If we'd like you to respond to that with an email at timodude@com. All the ladies, please. We'd like you to fill Tim's mail slot early and often with your response, and you could possibly get that giveaway on whether that would work on you or not. Izzy.
Hey, AJ, I'm sure you heard enough of the silliness, so
Yeah, if you haven't noticed.
it's too far.
It's too fun.
Nah, you're gonna pull it.
Ah, sorry.
Oh, you could
Oh,
have.
God. Sarah, I'm sorry.
You.
I was like, you don't have any line. You don't have any line. You don't have any line.
Stop
Stop it.
ranking.
Just do that sketch. Shh.
Okay.
So like,
It never happened. It never
when can we like, I don't know, hang with
We gotta work on that. Well, I'll tell you guys a funny story how we started talking because we have a deal with Alamo Draft House,
Mhm.
and we were working on doing a screening of Solo.
Uh-huh.
That's when I was talking to you about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Get you guys in. I had it all laid out for my show. Have you guys come in and play the game, give away tickets, something like that. And unfortunately, we couldn't get a sponsor for it. So that fell through.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
and
He
they,
sounds like shit.
how much money you got?
Big old plastic.
Yeah.
See, Tim invests in cryptocurrency, so he's got money.
Yeah.
But that was the original game plan.
Yes.
Was to get that going, and then that just fell through and that happens. But yeah, definitely want to get you guys on soon and get that. Hey, theme worthy of the Force Choke Awakens podcast,
Yeah.
Star Wars related. Yeah,
That'd be fun.
totally down for that.
Thanks for getting that in there. Ooh, very slick.
But
Makes you a promise to take the TV off the table.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
That one's not CGI or puppet. That's real.
None of this is CGI or puppet.
I'm a
You're a puppet?
That's not a CGI prop.
Well,
Mike, are you real?
wow.
but what is the most fulfilling thing you've done / seen in
Huh? Meeting Terry. Wow. That's. Let's see. 'Cause I met.
Can you see radio waves, Lizzie?
Huh?
On radio, can you see the radio waves? It's an audio thing.
I mean, there's a couple. I got to host. We did way before I met you guys. We did a screening of The Force Awakens movie at Sound Drive. That was fun to do. Got the lightsaber out there. I found and stuff. Met Peter Gabriel. That was awesome. I know for
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
cool.
the youngins don't know,
Yeah.
but there's a lot. It's hard to have just one. I did get to host the screening of Superman Returns
Oh,
back
that's
in
fun.
Phoenix, so I was all about that.
Yeah.
red Superman boxes and all,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
and nothing else.
Nothing else.
That get him at interesting.
Irish.
Did you say the red boxes?
I do play.
But I think,
My word.
yeah, that's a tough thing that's a tough question to answer. Because also I'm still going. Like this isn't, people say 18 years in radio, that's a long time. It's really not.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just getting started, especially when I come here. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I knew. And like along those lines, of what have you seen or done? I know in Arizona they don't have hurricanes. How did you guys cope with that at the radio station?
We did a joint broadcast with, I believe it was KIII,
Uh-huh.
to kind of any news updates they had, but I wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
So Chelsea, I said, I'm taking the family, we're going to Brownsville.
Yes.
And Chelsea's she's a science teacher at Tolosa Midwest. So she's got a lot of animals.
Mm-hmm.
2 dogs, cats, chinchilla, the snakes, the rabbit, the rhino, the hippopotamus. Had it all ahead of Brownsville it was funny because Brownsville was like clear skies.
Oh wow.
We got there, they said it was gonna rain.
Uh-huh.
Clear skies. Went to the zoo.
Oh wow. Nice. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard the first time I saw tornado warnings, I'm like,
God.
what do we do? I have no idea. 42 years old, I've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah.
If I run towards it, well, I'm transported to Oz.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's just a warning. It was like,
White and red slippers.
yeah. And so for the hurricane thing, like, I was just like, okay, we'll just pack up stuff. We moved everything, all the entire comic collection into the closet, my file department, and pack up Chelsea and the animals and stuff, and just got a hotel room. We'll just do this. Came back. We got lucky. Electricity was still on.
Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Oh, I know it was crazy.
Yeah.
Did you guys all hunker down here and watch Star Wars?
Yeah. I took off too.
You took off,
I
right?
took off.
You took off.
Definitely.
But it's
Tim was gone. You
Us.
stayed and
Checking on people's houses for them.
yeah.
thank
It
you.
was funny. We have 4 animals, right?
Mhm.
Well, we have 5. My wife says 2 dogs, 2 cats,
You counting yourself?
and then me.
Are you counting yourself?
Yes. So she had to
sorry.
pack up all 5 animals, and we were headed to Vegas, right? And it'll take 2 days to get there, and so I was just gonna drive straight, right?
Mhm.
And so we've been driving for a good 3 hours. So I think we're close to Austin. She said, "I want to go back. I want to go back." I said, "What? We've been driving for 2 hours." She goes, "I want to go back," and I was like, "All right, we'll go back." So turned around and drove back, and then so we got here, and it was hours before the hurricane was going to be here, and she goes, "I think we should go." And I was like, "Look, if we pack up, we could still go. We could, right?" And she's like, "I think we should go." And so I started putting the animals back in the car, and
Including yourself.
Yeah, including myself. And I said, "Okay, we're ready. Let's go." She's like, "No, I think we're gonna stay." I was like, and at that point they said they're starting to shut the roads down, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? We gotta stay now. That's it. You know what I mean? We're gonna be here. And then the storm got here. She said, we should have gone.
Long as your house, I mean, everything.
Yeah, everything was fine.
Yeah.
Everything was fine. Yeah. Everything I boarded up all the windows and everything.
You see any flying cows or anything inside the
No, I didn't. No, but I went to my parents' house and they had down trees and all that. I mean, this neighborhood is fairly new, so there aren't very many big trees or anything like that. At least down these couple of streets here, but no, we were fine here. My wife actually did a surprise guest visit on the Force Choke podcast.
Oh, that's right. Because you said, "Hey, you want to try?
What do you want to do here? We do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
And then the thing too is because I had already been driving around in it, like
Yeah.
just being stupid,
Uh,
and I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna chill over here.
it was fun. It was good.
Because that's when I was staying at a buddy's house in the bluff. It was a lot closer to the water. So that was
Yeah, it was hilarious. So we had a good time there. But I think Sarah,
That's come off.
Yes, I do have the next one. So AJ, now that we know you a little bit better,
Mhm.
I have to be honest. The
Uh-oh.
suspense has been killing me.
Uh-oh.
The smell is. I apologize.
No suspense.
this is
So
No,
the
it actually
council.
says smell on it.
So the council and I, can I get a drum? AJ, it is time for you to rank the Star Wars movies for us.
Wah, wah.
So the way that we rank it is 0 to 100, only Star Wars movies,
Oh,
and going against each other. We've all done it. We've had all of our guests rank them, so you'll be added to the guest list.
Okay.
Any guest have?
We will be giving our and the average. You'll get our averages for everything, and then
So I rank a movie on a scale of 1 to 100.
1 to 100. Only Star Wars movies. You're not
Is
comparing.
1 best or 100 best?
100 best.
Okay.
Like percent.
Okay.
Okay. And then we will give our rankings for Solo.
Okay.
What's your rankings first?
Okay.
So let's start off with the fan minutes.
Feminist. 82.
Woo!
Oh, talk to us a little bit about that, and then I'll reveal everybody's.
Pod racing, you know.
It is probably.
There's several factors to it. There was a nostalgia for 5
Mhm.
got to do that waiting in line with my friends thing again. But also it probably would be higher if it wasn't for Jar Jar.
Yeah. Agreed.
It would be higher if it wasn't for Jar Jar. I didn't mind it. I did think it's not. I just put it there because also Lucas, you got to see more of that world.
Mhm.
You know, so you got to see more of his imagination, kind of
Yeah.
whether for the good or bad.
Yeah.
You know.
And we might talk. Maybe I'll keep it on.
Just say something to Sarah. She'll throw it at you. Oh.
I'll pretend it is.
I was expecting this to be a highlighter. It's actually a nice thing. Sorry, you're not going to find it after you. So talk to if it wasn't for Jar, let's say Jar Jar was not, and let's say it was a Wookiee or a Greedo or something like that, would you have felt differently?
Probably. But the character was just the biggest problem I had with that character. I just didn't see a point to him. He was just there for comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could have a character be a bit more serious, like a Chewie, and still have comedic moments.
Yes.
So there's that one. So then, are we going in order here? So are we showing
Sarah?
We're showing everybody.
Okay.
Yes. Let's
Showing
show.
everybody.
Control.
God.
So these are the scores here for. Oops.
You broke it.
I broke it. No.
You broke it in my nose.
There we go. For the Phantom Menace. Those are the scores there for our guests, and
What about us?
then for the council, those are our rankings right there.
So you
Do you mind great minds think alike? No, Jim.
Sarah. Now let's talk this about Izzy. It's 45.
Okay, I would like to say when I first ranked this, I think I was maybe 2 years into Star Wars, and after my film class, I learned to appreciate a lot more films after that. So when I went and rewatched the prequels, I didn't hate them as much as I did way back when. So
Would you like
rank
this
So how does
opportunity to re-rank
Okay.
the
Yeah,
Phantom Menace?
I would actually.
Yes, a 45 becomes 47.
I appreciate it that much more. But okay, why don't we do this? Every show or every time we do a ranking, you only get one movie to re-rank. So is this a movie you'd like to re-rank?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So you can keep it.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
But I thought you appreciated it more.
Oh, I appreciate it more.
take control, Sarah. Take
Yeah.
control, Sarah.
No, I,
Okay. Alright, episode 2.
Okay, episode 2.
I'm gonna catch
Actually, again, I like the expansion of the universe. I put it at 82, so I gotta put it down to 75.
Interesting.
Still the C? Still passing?
Yeah.
Still passing?
It's Hayden.
Eddie Christensen?
I just
No, don't speak.
Oh.
It's not the
Everybody
it's
glue
not
stuff
the
down.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
I do agree with
See,
that, but it's just the portrayal of Anakin. Just from that movie to the next one, it's just I just he was a problem.
Yeah. I don't, and I know you're probably gonna bring the same thing I am. You said you haven't seen the Clone Wars? The animated series?
Yeah.
You have?
No.
Okay, I would suggest if you ever have time to do it, because there is a fair amount.
Yeah.
I like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. I have the same concerns with him.
Yeah.
When I watched the Clone Wars, it gave me an even greater appreciation for him because that's how it should have been. The way Anakin acted in the Clone Wars
Mhm.
should have been how Hayden Christensen should have been in the movies,
Mhm.
and it would have been perfect.
Right.
Like seriously, like
The character development in the
Yeah.
Clone Wars animated series for Anakin,
Mhm.
I think it was beautifully done.
it was.
You know,
That actually altered him to being actually my favorite character at that point. More darker Anakin, if you will, because he's having these, let's just call them problems that he's starting to face before he becomes Vader. How he's actually portrayed is done beautifully.
Mhm.
We could have seen it in episodes 2 and 3. I think we would have seen something and even better if possible. So,
Yeah, okay, and then I would put episode 3 a little bit higher than that, because I put it at 75, so episode 3 would be 79.
I like them.
And I think what saves it for me, I thought by that point when you get to that final primary battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, I think Obi-Wan was just,
yeah.
I loved him throughout the entire,
Oh, yeah.
those two
Comma
movies.
A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't think you guys can see what's going on here, but
Yeah.
Oh,
And then go to our Attack of the Clones on our section,
yes.
and then do the same thing.
Okay.
Hit the letter,
And then letter.
and then there you go.
Okay.
All
we're
right.
seeing a stat sheet of all the rankings everyone's done on all the movies.
And see, now we're tied up again. I get you, man.
But to me, yeah, I thought let's say that whole
So you
first
did
run of the movies was definitely.
I
Homeboys. I'm blanking on his name right now. Played Obi-Wan.
Oh, and we're here?
You remember, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he saved that.
What was Revenge of the Sith you did?
79.
Oh, that one I went higher on. Damn it. That's one of my favorites actually. Like, I mean, there could have been other things that could have been done better and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
But I think for that, like I said, that series, Ewan McGregor, I think saved it for me that entire first run.
Yeah.
He was a great Obi-Wan Kenobi. And see his transition too. He was great.
before we continue, I was gonna ask. My stepson has to leave.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Intermission.
Intermission. Break time.
Yeah.
How dare you make a guess?
Try to take a break.
Well, okay, sorry, everyone watching live. These people don't care about you. Sarah?
What?
Tim?
Okay, now that I'm here,
It's
I'd
an
like-
easy show.
I'd like to sing a song.
Dun, dun, dun,
Sing,
dun, dun,
sing
dun.
for us.
Now Lewis is leaving.
I'll put it back on Instagram.
I don't know what I would sing.
Okay, here's a song about people. What are songs you have for intermission? Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal. The dancing frog. You don't get you.
For the top hat.
Uh huh. Yeah, well, that's all good. We're doing jazz ones. What's that over there, Jay?
Jazz fingers.
Wow, that sounds kind of dirty.
Jazz fingers? Yeah, why is that
Thank you. So just ran over a Nerf herder.
I don't know. What did he?
How's it, milk
Did he look?
cooker?
I was gonna ask him if he was scruffy looking, but then he went to milk.
Milk cooker?
That's gonna be your name now, Lou. Look at this. Look at me.
So, when Sarah gets back, we gotta talk more about Revenge of the Sith. The fifth?
So wait, are we still rolling at this point? We're just
We're still going.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Izzy do a song while you were out for entertainment purposes there.
It's too young to look at.
Yes. Yes.
Here's a comment here.
Let's be honest.
It says Kermit is Joe's illegitimate son.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's funny. I like that.
So I
Thank you, Nate.
missed part oh, hey Nate, how's it going?
Hi, Nate. Was that jazz hands? Hi, Nate.
Hi, Nate. Sorry.
It's
So-
like this. It's like this. Fingers.
Yeah, so let's get back to Star Wars.
Oh, my goodness. Good stuff. So, let's hear your thoughts on Phantom Menace.
Yeah, we were just
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, we were asking.
The fifth.
Yeah.
I missed the.
He did want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, because I missed it.
They're basically saying that, like, I think the biggest problem I have was Hayden as
Okay.
Anakin.
Yeah.
And you made a good point saying it's. I do agree it's some directing.
Mhm.
I don't know if necessarily. I don't know. I mean, like, it's tough to say because Hayden hasn't actually done much since Star Wars.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but he
Um,
actually tried to live a quiet life. He was a farmer or something.
Yeah.
Like it's some. Yeah, like he went to like really kind of like private life.
I was surprised to see him at was it Star Wars Celebration or was it the last one? I think it's Star Wars
There's a
Celebration.
picture. There's a picture with him with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Well, because you.
FarmersOnly.com.
What the shit?
He's on there. I'd be like, you're the one.
Blue Knight.
Is that farming dating site?
Yeah.
My old co-host, she had her girlfriend on that.
Oh wow. No way.
He's not talking much about this.
I said, if she's on there, like, I see you there.
Hi, my name is Hayden, but you can call me Annie.
Are you okay?
Oh, Annie.
Anakin Skywalker.
Sarah, get control of this podcast.
I love your chaos. I'm not being a pet right
I'm curious which movie you're going with next.
now. Oh, I wonder. Which one?
Oh, we're after
um,
the Revenge of the Sith, so.
Rogue One?
Is it?
Chronologically, yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Rogue One.
Technically speaking, it'd be Han Solo.
Technically.
Han Solo would be the.
Oh, I thought we wanted to set up for the end though.
That's
Oh,
why.
yeah, we're
That's
saying
why
that.
he was
Yeah,
in
we're building
Yeah,
up
so
the
for
suspense.
the
But next time. We'll,
Sarah,
Next time we'll
I love your
go
chaos.
correct order.
Yes.
yeah, first you're pulling the mic.
Right, and Dale would put a fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Redo the podcast.
Yes.
Mispronounce the words.
Yes. Not being able to read.
I thought we were going to bring up
Alright, so which movie am I doing next?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Ooh, Rogue One. I would have to put up as like a 90.
Ooh.
You can use decimals too.
Yeah.
I thought they did an amazing job with expanding on the universe, and they did a great job of having us, even though we know their fate, we still care about these characters. They did a great job with that.
Now, did you know that Vader scene was not like they had a huge reshoot, like a 4-week reshoot, and that Vader scene was actually not part of the original. The part of the original.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I'm curious to see because it actually completely changed. Like some of those main characters were supposed to survive.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're gonna have to like just add them in somewhere, but that's why. I mean, that's like my favorite scene in like all cinematic. Just seeing Vader, just seeing the scene and just
and it
whack whack, just screwing with everyone. So.
and it came out of nowhere. For some, I was so engrossed in the movie, just kind of going, "It's great," and then you forget at what point that timeline takes place.
Yeah.
And then when he came up, like,
It was like quiet too, and you hear like
Yeah.
the blasters.
I think Lewis was sitting next to me, and I started freaking out.
Music, can't
I just
see
knew.
it.
I just knew it started getting dark. I was like, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, Lewis, and all I hear, this right glow. I was like, okay, you're in the right now.
I was laughing like already, like that because I did it again. Everyone. So, like, every second time.
We're gonna institute time.
That was good stuff there. That was
A quality content, you know what I'm saying?
trailer worthy.
now if you can snort when you laugh.
Oh, that's
We all have our hidden
Not that
talents.
So,
Which one next?
A New Hope.
Oh gosh.
A New Hope, 80.
Woo! There we
I mean,
go.
it is the original, but when you compare it to all the other ones, it's not the best one.
I like that. I think it is something 81. Yeah. Because we have Nerfers over here doing like 95s and stuff.
Oh, me?
99.
Oh, yeah.
You go from 45 to 99. Okay.
I got a
Real fast, you know what I'm saying?
75. Oh, no, 60.
0 to 100.
At that point, we only had 100, which was Sarah and Rogue One for sure.
Oh, that's far.
Then hit me up and I'll feel
Well, no, there's 100 for Hope. Jose. One of our
I meant by the council.
oh, I see.
So which one are we going with next?
Absolutely.
Empire Strikes
Empire Strikes Back. Ooh. I would definitely have to give that one a 92.
92.
I think that one, out of all the other movies, it's a low point, it's a dark point.
Yeah.
Didn't expect to see that when it first came out. You know what I mean?
Definition of space opera.
That one was my favorite. Of the original.
And I will say, because we talked about, you guys asked me what my favorite one is. I will say my favorite. I will give it 100. Is Return of the Jedi.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think out of
Wow.
I think to me, out of all of them, that's the one that encompasses everything about Star Wars. It's got a little bit of everything, and I know there's a nostalgia flavor for it for me because when I was a kid. But in terms of just everything about it was on point. I think.
How do you feel about when
Bitch.
on Endor?
You gotta quote it though.
Chewbacca goes for the piece of meat,
Mhm.
and Luke's like, Chewie, wait! Get caught in the net, right?
He got hungry.
Yeah, and then Solo's like, Chewie, yo, I was thinking with your stomach, right?
Mhm.
And then Luke says, hey, Han, can you grab my lightsaber? You okay with that?
I know why some say no because why can't I use the Force and just grab it right there?
It's not a direct quote, Izzy, yes I know, but I always just like kind of make fun of it. Like, hey, Han, grab my lightsaber. Like, it's supposed to be some Jedi badass. Like,
Yeah.
bro, I can't reach.
But the look on Han's face when he's trying to reach over,
Yeah.
sure, no problem.
I get that too, but I'm just like,
Oh,
supposed to represent both.
oh my goodness. All right. So then,
The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens, I will give that 81.
it felt like you were going to go with the 70s.
I was thinking about it for a moment, but I think The Force Awakens did what they set out to do. They want to make a nostalgia piece.
Mhm.
They just established some new characters. It had that. it did remind me of the fun of seeing Jedi.
Mhm.
That kind of the vibe of it. Like for J.J. Abrams, I think he did a great job of really encompassing. It felt like it was in that universe.
Yeah.
Felt like it was a part of it. So
And reinstilled the fan base, and brought new people.
you did give a new
Yeah,
generation. You know, like I mentioned, my girlfriend's daughter, BB-8 or R2-D2.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw, because I got to Star Wars right before that, and so I was really excited to go stand in line.
Mhm.
Ooh, this is fun.
Mhm. Yeah, you're very new Star Wars.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Star Wars growing up.
What?
This is nuts.
Are they Mormon?
No.
Okay. Sure.
They're just, you know, movies.
Okay.
And Sarah's kind of like,
I was raised with it.
yes.
Like my stepdad.
Were you
had,
born
like
with
a, maybe my stepdad had a room dedicated to like his action figures, his toys, comics,
Mhm.
and like I met him in 2001, and he was like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No, I'm sick." And he was like, "We were watching all of them right now."
Yeah.
And yeah, so from 6 on, I was kind of
Right.
Unfortunately, because of the word crawl, she just watched the
I-
film
yeah.
itself.
I couldn't read it. I still can't read it.
Oh my god, you did bring that up.
You guys are brutal.
Yeah.
I was
This thing with the words is just
Yeah.
words,
Did you
letters.
hurt too?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So you had episode 7, The Force Awakens. You have episode 8, The Force went back to sleep.
Wow.
You're probably the last Jedi.
Oh, last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
It doesn't work out.
Me too.
Oh, you're gonna.
Are you
80.
ready?
80?
Yeah.
80?
Yeah.
I agree.
This is you can tell with Last Jedi they're trying to expand the universe on what they expect or what they think it is,
Mhm.
and they're trying to kind of lost me. I think the Leia thing. I was like, yes, come on, yeah, don't buy that.
Mary Poppins around back to the ship doesn't make sense. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, but at the same time, I liked the Luke Skywalker in the desert
Yeah.
with it, like force projecting himself. I like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, there were so many great moments for me, and I know some of you guys are going to want to change your scores, but there's this one.
I just hear it like bubbling in your throat.
The plastic of the seat.
Yes.
Burn 2 chairs.
You know, another thing that I loved was when she like light speed through the
Yeah.
ship.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was great.
That was emotionally.
Yeah.
That was
So they're there
Yeah.
for-
And then do we come to Solo? Do we start talking Solo? What are we doing here?
We,
We're gonna start.
Some
So,
of the council members want to edit their Last Jedi.
Okay,
We can do it enough. I mean, well, it's up to you.
Do y'all want to? Yeah.
Don't need
With
to put
half
a
an
page in.
hour.
I mean, for as long as you want. Huh?
If you're gonna,
In that case,
Start with me.
Tim,
I'll start with it.
you want to rescore the Last Jedi?
then just do 98.
No,
Do you wanna see your
I think I
preview?
gave it a 96.
Do you want to see your previous?
No, don't let him see it. What your score is unadulterated. What you feel this should be right now.
Yeah, 90.
I'll tell you what it was.
96.
It was a 98.
Yeah.
I told you, see?
And you're saying what?
I was high up
90?
in the theater.
So, just saying.
That is a factor when you think about movies too. Huh? Like when you're excited for it,
Mhm.
then you go back and watch it. You know?
Now, yeah. Who wants to go next?
Is it?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I give it an 80.
An 80?
No way.
Yeah, I've
You go
watched
from
it.
like 100 to an 80?
I watched it again. I watched it twice, and then I bought the DVD, and I was like, I don't want to watch it anytime soon. And then I watched it like maybe a few days ago, and I was just like,
Mm.
what? And then Brandon, he was saying that Hermit Luke reminds him of his name Jack Black from Nacho Libre. And I was like, every time he came on the screen, I was like,
Oh,
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, I felt wrong about like Luke. I felt like it could have been different. Kind of bummed by
Talking about the milk.
that too. I closed my eyes. Oh, and
But what about Thomas Adam Driver?
no!
Well, 100 again.
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
Minus 20. Plus 15.
The
Minus
style
2. Plus
is,
7.
I wear that style of like the high waisted pants, and then I was like disturbed. I was like,
Because you did give it 100.
yeah.
So you're retracting the 100 and making it an
Yeah.
80, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Wow, that is
I just felt
interesting.
very different.
Sarah, are you sticking with your score?
Oh, once you saw
I
Adam.
don't know what I gave it. I
I'll
don't
let
maybe like an 80, 90,
An
90,
80, 90?
an 80, 90, a 90.
You had
Yeah.
a 98.
Yeah.
Jesus, these are drastic number changes.
Yeah, really.
I thought I was an asshole for dropping this.
I'm going to keep mine at a
Minus 20.
95 because that's how I felt.
I'm going to throw mine into a 91.
And you were at a 98.
Yeah.
Also, like solo helping.
All right. So, wow. It went from the council's number 1.
Yeah, it's a trouble. Significant.
Yeah, to probably like number 5 from y'all team. Y'all's school.
I think they did episode 9.
Yeah, he's a liability now.
Yeah.
Like I found an old picture of Ryan Gosling when he was playing, I think, cornerback in the movie Remember the Titans. It's like, yo, I like Ryan Gosling, but that fool was a liability for that team.
All right, so we're gonna do solo.
Yes. Is he going
Solo.
Okay. AJ.
It was the first time this has ever happened to me in a movie theater. I fell asleep.
Oh my god.
I was not. And it was so funny because I was at Alamo Draft House, and I was all excited. I was excited to see this. I was so excited to see Rogue One. Okay, the expanding the universe. This is gonna be good. Ron Howard's directing. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then I'm there, and then all of a sudden I wake up. It's in the scene where Chewie's dragging Han.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what should I just? What the heck? And then I didn't get a chance to order anything
That was
from
another
Alamo
drink.
Draft House. So I ordered a drink. And I'm like, I had food. Now I ordered a drink. They're like, oh, we already. So I'm like, I didn't even think I'd be drinking it. And I was like, no, but yeah, I felt it. I'm sitting there watching it, just kind of going, why am I not feeling this?
Mhm.
Like, it just didn't click. It was, again, like I said, never happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I can look back on it and I go, it looked amazing.
Mhm.
The chemistry was right, but just for some reason, I might have to go watch it again.
Yeah, they can watch it again.
But it fell flat for me for whatever reason. Like, it just wasn't in me.
We had
I
a.
was fell asleep on Rogue One.
Yes.
Oh my god, I was so tired. Like that one scene where
True fans.
they're arguing in the ship, and it's like they just finished leaving, right? The planet where it was raining, and they were gonna shoot the my father. Or it was either before or right after. I can't remember. But I was like, get fall asleep, man. That was gonna be the first time that I had fallen asleep.
Didn't you work?
Did it? I don't remember.
I did that for Prometheus.
Yeah, you were drunk too, though.
Damn it! Maybe keeps on telling that story.
Prometheus is not a movie to drink through.
No. Okay, no, I worked 2 jobs, so I actually, that day itself, I did work like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing where you couldn't wait in line, or you had to wait in line, so we took shifts and went to Applebee's that had like 3 long hours. So I watched the movie, and I fall asleep, and all of a sudden I look over, and he's just like staring at me, I'm like,
Oh my goodness. So
hey, what's your
you fell asleep.
I fell asleep. I was shocked.
You felt the cinematography. You said that the chemistry was there.
It just
But it didn't.
something. Just I don't know. I looked at it I mentioned it earlier, but it's kind of the same thing that Rogue One has. The story, you could say it didn't need to be told.
Mhm.
And I walked out the theater going, I didn't need to see that. This is bizarre. So, I don't know. You're right. I may have to see it again.
And Tim might have brought up a good point, and we talked about this in our previous podcast, was that they left in about 18 to 20% of what the previous directors had done. And we were curious,
What parts?
which parts were they?
Yeah.
Was it the very beginning? Or was it intermittent parts stuck in here and there?
The other thing that ticked me off, because I don't follow the Clone Wars story, when I saw Darth Maul, I'm like, wait, what? Wait, come on.
I think I did throw something.
I kind of like, what? No, come on.
Mhm.
I complained about it on Facebook. My friend is a big Star Wars fan. He's like, she's spoiling for me.
Oh
And then I sent him a little, like, little gift that says you're welcome.
no! I love you too.
So, but yeah, I think, and that was something that threw me off too.
Yeah, it's funny because if you do follow the animated series,
They kind of explained he comes back.
Oh yeah, it does.
Spider-Waves.
And for me, seeing it once again, I was sitting next to Micah. Micah was here, and my wife was here, and at first you kind of just see the side view with the hood over,
Mhm.
and I was like, and
See, I mean, yeah.
That's
They
why
made
I
it
went
kind of seem like
went
that.
to first. It was like Sidious.
yeah, and then
Well, because especially
The
with
voice
them,
was too different.
well, especially with them doing Brain and Sidious a little bit here and there in the Rebel show as well. So it would have made sense that Ian McDermott had a piece of that.
yeah, but then when he pulled the hood back and saw Maul,
I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's Darth Maul. And so I think with Maul and then his whole, what is it, Crimson
Dawn.
Dawn tie-in with the once again the Rebel series and the Clone Wars, it kind of like, okay, well, what was he up to? You know what I mean? Because he's been doing all these other things behind the scenes secretly, very secretly, because I don't think he wants, other Sith Lords to know about that he's still alive. You know what I mean? At that point.
That part in that movie, to me, like the way hearing you get the actor because you watch the show and stuff like that. Certainly, if you're a fan, if that happened to me, like Batman v Superman or something,
You're
out like that. Whoa, yeah. But then the average viewer, they're kind of going,
Yeah.
what?
Didn't he just fall down?
Yeah.
the-
And I can completely see that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially if you only watch the movies.
Mhm.
And you're like,
I guess it.
what the fuck? but you're only half. You have both. Why?
Yeah.
So
So
Vader only had one arm and no legs.
One
right?
arm.
No,
One arm.
But he had a lot of determination.
Oh, okay, he had no arms, no legs, and they still found
Yeah, that was.
that's very true, Jim.
Yeah, but you saw it on screen too.
Yeah.
And you already saw episode 4 through 6.
it. Very true. Yes.
So I'm curious, AJ, what's the score?
So, real quickly now, you
Oh.
said you saw that, so you haven't gone back and seen the entire viewing yet?
Did you like
No,
the portrayal of Han Solo from that actor?
I didn't mind it. No, I didn't mind it.
Okay.
I think that first portion, like, I don't think it's entirely integral to the story itself, other than he has to leave his own planet. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but there are a couple things that it's like, it wasn't maybe necessary, but it was kind of funny. It kind of seemed Han Solo-esque, and that maybe could have helped you open up the film. Seeing the rest of it.
I remember watching it.
That's why I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to say it.
That's right.
Let him experience that portion. Because I want to quit that thing too.
I have ruined movies for others, so I don't mind.
Tim,
it
go
happens.
ahead.
No, what? I didn't ready for it. I was going to say something else.
Oh, he was only told
No, you can- I mean,
I was going a different direction. I was
Yeah.
mentioned, I don't know if you heard on their last podcast, how they wanted to turn it into something like Ace Ventura.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that was the original concept for this movie.
And that's why they trashed the directors.
Yeah. They
Wow.
scrapped him and went with Ron Howard because that was from the film that they got, the footage they got,
Mhm.
that it seemed Ace Ventura-esque. Yeah.
Han Solo talking with his butt.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
I think a lot of women would have gotten a kick out of that anyway.
Possibly. Yeah. So.
He starts.
I will be nice with my score though, since we'll get checked out. I'll say 7.
A 70. Still passing. Still passing. So.
That's what I think the thing with that. What the hell was that thing? The name of that central person on Brilliant?
Lady.
Lady Gaga.
Pretty Proxima.
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 The worm lady.
There's a funny scene.
Yes.
Photosynthesis.
Mhm.
Oh, this. Never mind. I think it's saying photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Synthesis.
She's a plant worm.
You never know. You never know. So, that being said, for our guest, Han Solo still isn't the worst film. And
Oh, I wonder why. 45, 65, 30. I'm still gonna kick Rudy's ass about that.
it actually ranks right here. Not too bad, not too bad. Gotta get our other guests to read.
Yeah.
So, Tim, you want to give your score for Han Solo?
89.
Oh, that was quick. 89.
You've been sitting on that for a while, chewing on it. No. 85, no.
89. Micah.
I don't keep on giving everything 91, but
91.
you know, actually, I'll give it like a 92
Oh,
92?
because there's some.
You okay?
yeah.
While it wasn't, what you said, like it did have standalone value, but it wasn't necessarily to see it. You didn't have to see it. The story already was Han Solo. There were still a lot of good things I saw. The potentiality of what they were going to do in the future with it. Some nostalgic things, especially seeing Darth Maul on screen again. Braveheart.
Braveheart.
Hell yeah. Like I'm what?
What?
Braveheart.
Oh,
The dude's
okay.
name.
I know. Okay, I heard that weird.
I'm not saying let's go to Ray's Park.
No,
No. I think I know it's.
I know
Okay,
it's here.
okay.
Yeah.
Continue. So,
Yes. Yeah.
what?
Yes.
I always been an advocate of the name Raycon.
Oh.
So they have what was it?
Chip.
No, what is it? Kylo and Ray?
Yeah. Kylo and Ray.
Alright.
Kyrie? Well, they have those stupid names.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so I was
The
yeah.
saying,
amalgamation of
and so I was saying Poe and Ray. I was like, Raybo. I've tried to keep on saying it ever since, and they won't accept it.
No, unacceptable.
Hashtag Raybo.
What happened?
Oh my goodness.
Hashtag Micah, me too.
I'm curious before I give my ranking of Han Solo. Alden Ehrenreich
Mhm.
Anybody.
was actually signed on for 3 Star Wars films.
Really?
This one being the first.
So we're gonna see more Han Solo.
Are we?
I think.
I would think so, right?
Her actress.
Would you like to see this
Yeah.
turned into a trilogy, but of anthology movies? So let's say you get a
He's a character you could do that with.
right
You could do different adventures. It doesn't necessarily have to be
Han
like.
Solo movie, Boba Fett movie,
Yeah.
and John
Nope.
movie.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Pretty cool.
No.
Underground.
Gangster.
Underworld, sorry.
Gangsters. Gangsters.
Because I'm a gangster.
Or if that leads to an Obi-Wan movie,
Oh.
Well, they already said they're doing it.
because
And Fett.
what's her name?
Felicity.
That plays Jyn Erso.
Felicity
Felicity
Jones.
Jones.
She's actually signed on for 3 Star Wars films as well. The one being one of them.
Yeah, it sounds like it does sound like after the main storyline involving Skywalker, they're focusing on these like one-offs, like
Mhm.
expanding the universe a bit more. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I love Rogue One, so
Yeah, I think they just want to keep that door open just in case.
And then that's where, if they do continue with these stories, is where Michael was saying that the Jyn Erso and Han Solo made Rey.
No, I did not.
Yes, you said that.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I was at work.
Did you say that?
No, did I? Now you got me messed up.
How do you feel if that ties back to
No, because I'm still an advocate of Ezra
Ezra?
being the baby daddy.
Or
He's from
what's her name again?
Well, and see, one thing you haven't seen in Rebels,
Kira.
that you're even talking about how
Oh,
essentially there's a lot of.
Kira.
I think I want to think about Kira. You know, it doesn't matter. So for
That's
Rebels,
amazing.
kind of talking about how they do like a time construct.
Mhm.
They help kind of fill in holes as they want, and they got rid of a lot of stuff and called it Legends. Well, right now, as Rebels allowed it, Thrawn is still alive. And so the possibility maybe even see him in episode 9. Like there's some causality to think that it's possible.
wow.
Because did you play Battlefront 2 again?
No.
But
don't ruin it.
Go on for yourself.
like, okay, it's not hard anyway. So the main character, long story short, the main character was part of an elite squad or whatever. She eventually kind of helps out the rebellion, and at the very end of the game, the first portion at the end of the games, or is it the second edition for the Resurrection? Anyway, she's actually talking to Leia,
Mhm.
like right before episode 8 starts. She ends up dying, but she has a child that's not Rey, but Leia's telling her to go to Outer Rim to seek help. And so I'm assuming, especially at the end of episode 8, that they're trying to get help from the Outer Rim system, and nothing's happening. That's what we're going to see in episode 9, is that this girl's daughter, potentially maybe Ezra, which again was a character from Rebels, we're going to see some involvement, from that, just to refuel, I guess, the resistance.
I'm gonna add these to my watch list.
Yeah, they're really good.
I mean, and that's the thing.
I'm so behind on Supergirl.
I haven't seen it. Oh.
And I think that's just that they'll be able to pull from that, and so it kind of helps out some of the earlier fans who have read all those books that are deemed legends, that they're bringing them back as they want to, but they're retrofitting the time frame to make it work with the new timeline that they have.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my score for Solo, and
Is it?
I'm gonna give it. I kind of agree with Micah, but I'm gonna go one.
Can you say that as a time?
I said I'm wanting to agree
No,
with Micah,
you didn't.
but I'm gonna give it a 93. 93.
I was thinking
That's funny.
because she was gonna give it 93, which means you.
I was gonna give it a 94.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think we did this last time.
Sarah.
We were giving Last Jedi scores, and everyone wanted to one up each other. Like, who might be cheats? And then Tim's like 97, no, 98. And we're like, sure, the truth.
I want to give it a 95. Just give it something.
No.
And now the next movie comes out, she's gonna come back and change the score.
Well, you've seen it
I
twice.
can feel.
Now your inches tell
I
you.
feel.
She's the only one here who's seen it twice.
Who's the force?
I know.
His own.
Three
Um,
times.
Man, I'm busy, okay?
uh,
90.
not for continuity. I really liked it.
Yeah,
It was
peer-
really good.
because of
It
peer
was really
pressure.
good going the second time, just because you know all the big things that happen. I think what distracted me in it was waiting. Shut up.
You ready?
Waiting, wanting to see, how he met Chewie, how he acquired the Falcon,
Sure.
and everything. Just waiting for that kind of distracted me from everything else that was going on. So I think knowing that now, or at least the second time going
You're able
in,
to kind of
you can put it all aside and actually focus on the smaller things.
yeah, because when you're a fan, certainly you're like, oh,
No,
I get what
no,
you're saying. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, for the council, both of the anthology films are tied at 92.60.
No way.
Amazing. Wow.
Way, bro.
No way.
Where's mine say?
So,
Dear.
No, mine said sweet.
Yours says dude, yours says sweet.
let's go to the spin-offs. Han Solo Rogue One versus Then
Ooh.
Well, right now,
Oh,
according to this, it's only a 1 point difference. Not even a one. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm looking at
because
Empire.
the spin-offs are right in between. so-
I'm looking at Empire. Never mind.
Don't want to do a fist in the middle kind of thing.
You are about that fist in the middle.
Yeah, it's fine. Why
That's
not?
fun.
Wait, this
You
is
know where
what?
I'm going. Yeah.
So
Fist me, bro.
thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down is anthologies are better.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs
Then the
up,
new
Then
one.
the new.
and then the new trilogy would be
All right.
thumbs up.
Okay. I got
Okay,
it. I got it.
So
Oh,
thumbs up.
God.
Thumbs
Well,
up.
let me look
means
at my scores real quick.
Anthologies are better.
No.
No.
Thumbs down.
Anthologies are better.
Okay.
Thumbs up. The
The new
Spin-off?
the
trilogy.
new trilogy.
New
is better.
trilogy's better. Okay, got it.
Wait, hold on.
Prequel.
Hold on.
Thumbs down
Original,
for the
the
for
sequel.
the Han Solo.
We're gonna go on.
7-8. Rogue One Han Solo.
Yeah.
7-8. Rogue One Han Solo.
No. Thumbs up for the new trilogy.
Anytime.
You brought it up too.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set the bar
Oh,
He's going in the
okay.
middle.
All right.
because it's tough.
Yeah. God.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, wow.
Alright, so we're at
three,
three.
Oh, he's
three
going up.
anthologies and 2 ups and 1 in the middle. Oh, wow. Wow.
And that's what he trashed on
I
last
hurt
time
my
I took
arm.
Ryan Johnson.
I know, for real. You did trash him.
Ask me tomorrow. I'll probably say-
I've been because the more I dig into it, the more I'm trashing, especially if I see more treatment.
Oh,
Oh,
how do you
wow.
feel about that?
What?
They're saying,
Oh, I'm gonna stab you. No.
Micah brings up, it sounds like you haven't heard that
There's a petition.
It might have been a trash thing, but like there was a petition on a website that they're really speculative and just say shit to get attention.
Sure.
But that there was a fan outreach petition, whatever, to advocate for Meryl Streep playing Princess Leia, General Leia, whatever, in episode 9, because they didn't technically kill her off. And as
no one has to play.
as we know, Carrie Fisher, rest in peace.
Just do it.
Let sleeping dogs.
Thank you. Okay.
Leave
Let
it
it,
alone.
leave it alone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have her perish in some.
I mean, for crying out loud, my assumption is, we've already killed a Han Solo. We're making room for the new generation, so yeah, like,
Kill Luke.
And that's what episode 7 was supposed to be about, and that's why they said, like, yeah, nostalgia purposes, you bring it back and trying to bring, new fanship in and everything. But it was supposed to be a passing of the guard. It was supposed to be, all right, y'all the young bucks, we already say the Galistine is your turn.
The war's just started, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they released that and said the war has begun or something. Or the war continues. Soon after episode 8 aired.
It's funny that I remember George Lucas in an interview. I think one of the reasons he sold off Star Wars, and one is because the fans they can be so full of hate sometimes. You know what I mean?
He's probably the last one I say, tell you dumbasses.
Yeah. But I think it was one of our former guests, Nate, and friend of the show. He's been on like 3 times, 4 times, 3 times.
3.
3 times.
Hi, Nate.
Yeah. He on Instagram sent us like some information that just came out recently because some people want to know, well, what would George Lucas done after Return of the Jedi? What we know what we have now, but what would have George done? And apparently he was going to go into like nanotechnologies and stuff like that, and that these nanotechnologies, which is separate from midichlorians, actually feed off of the Force. And he said that fans would have hated it.
it probably would have.
I think fans would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering if he's, doing whatever he's doing, kind of relieved that he doesn't have that pressure on him. You know what I mean? Because I would think that's a lot of pressure. I mean, it would be different if you like made something. It's a piece of art, it's film, and then you put it on your own shelf or your own wall, and it's there for you to enjoy.
The impression I got off of him when that Charlie Rose interview he just sold off and they were getting ready to release the J.J. Abrams flick, he was just like, it's almost like he's just tired of the fans.
Mhm.
Look, this is my piece of art. I have the ability to change it now. I'm going to. You know what? You guys just keep doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's still getting royalties off that thing. He's not,
Yeah, he's not hurt.
Well, he even walked off on set because he was able to be there as like an executive producer for episode 7, and then he kept on trying to give out ideas, and they pretty much saying, "Yeah, George,
We got
I think he said that in the interview.
Yeah.
too. He's like,
yeah." And he basically just said like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Well, and that's weird that he brings it with that because wasn't there already he had like a rough draft script for 6, 7, 7, 8, and 9 that he said he was never going to do, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't there a rough story that
There
he
was
was
a rough
already
story.
compiled, right?
Yeah, I think he was right before he was going to, and I think this actually comes from. There's a TV series on called with James Cameron. I think it's on AMC about sci-fi and history and sci-fi and stuff like that. And I think there was recently he talked to George Lucas, and part of that was in this TV docu-series or whatever you want to call it. And that's where some of this information came from, is that George was, like you said, we talked about, he already had like we have here, a loose script of what he wanted to happen moving forward after Return of the Jedi. But then I think before he sold it off, he was like, I'm going to make these movies. And I think he was starting to get ready to, make them, produce them, get them ready. But then I think he just got to the point where it's like, you know what? You take it. I'm good.
And then he made Red Tails.
I've never heard of that.
Isn't it supposed to be like a World War II?
Oh,
wrestling?
that's
I
right.
never watched
Yeah,
it.
African American Fire Squad.
Was it any
Right.
good?
I remember that.
I didn't see it. It looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr. in
Yeah,
there or something like that.
yeah.
I remember seeing the advertisement look at it.
That's what he wanted. He wanted to start making movies again.
Yeah.
It's just like Star Wars consumed him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just want to go back to making movies.
Which is really interesting too, the act itself, because it was sold for what, like $4.1 billion, and then he donated the $4 billion, and only kept 0.1.
Well, I think most of that went to the museum in California. There's a museum, a science museum, and a lot of it's dedicated to Star Wars stuff. I think that's where a big chunk of it went to.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying the act in itself, like you create this entire thing.
Oh yeah.
It's worth $4.1 billion, and you're pretty much selling it to someone else, and you're not even keeping the money.
Yeah.
He essentially gave it away with the exception of, $100 million.
Yeah.
But $4.1 billion, and you're giving away $4 billion. Like that's a huge act in itself to show that he was, possibly just tired of it. Like, this is my baby. I wanted to do it a certain way. You got the people versus George Lucas, shit, and he might have said like, I love this and it created enough that it does even continue.
He created it.
He did. But as we discussed, is it empire?
Yeah.
Perspective.
Oh my God.
It was funny when we did the screening for Last Jedi at Alamo Draft House. Alamo's, they're known for showing like the short stuff before.
Yeah.
I think George Lucas invented the notion of selling out. They showed, back in the 80s, there was Star Wars sushi.
Oh wow.
They showed clips from like all these different products they had from like Japan. I mean, the dude was the first to sell out. He just put that thing on any kind of piece of merchandise and just.
Was it after like the release of the first one? Because I know he had to pretty much bankroll the entire first movie. Maybe that's all it was him just trying to get money to do the second. I don't know.
You think about. I mean, like of all things, sushi in Japan. It's probably a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
And so, like that, and they showed like the appearances on Sesame Street with R2-D2 and But yeah, like I saw the sushi. I'm like, wow, sushi.
Yeah, no, I'm not making excuses. That is the definition of selling out. But I'm just trying to think, like, what it was his motivation.
Yeah,
because
it's just
I don't know. Well, yeah, because I just remember like he had to bankroll the entire thing himself.
Yeah, the first.
Like because it was like he didn't have support or anything. So I'm just trying to assume like because he already has 4, 5, and 6, the concept of 1, 2, 3 at least. And if you get to the next one, he doesn't know how the fourth one. His first movie will do. So maybe he's like, I'm just gonna pour myself out to get the fifth one or the second movie in this case out.
I mean, you look at what the Lucasfilm, when he was making video games, like he got rid of all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. It's just, that's crazy to me.
I think the only thing that he kept was Skywalker's sound, or not that's Disney.
THX.
Yeah, that.
THX.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing he kept.
THX. Hashtag just bigger speakers.
Yes.
Just louder speakers.
Aww.
Yes. Very scary. But we did 2 hours.
Oh.
Why are you hitting anybody?
Well, I'm not as good at it as Sarah is hitting things.
Yeah, she misses a lot too.
That's true.
Yes.
If you got a record, she got not wrong.
But
We should watch that
what's the record?
It's a rap dog. It's a crap dog. It's a piece of crap. Oh, sorry.
Micah, you just volunteered to record
Do I need to put a bow on?
Put it on. If you like it, put it right on.
See, this is the highlighter. I'm Micah. This is our guest, AJ. That's it, not like.
You're quite the cunning linguist.
This is your house, but no. This is your house, but get out. No one everyone else is saying like. He's laughing because of him, and now they're laughing because of
We do want to thank AJ. We do want to thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is great. This is a lot of fun.
You don't have to want it. You just.
Oh, well, thank you. We wanted to, we just can't. No, thanks for hanging out.
That was fun. I'd come back anytime.
Oh, excellent.
No.
Well, we'd love to have you.
Fun.
And
I'll have to come back and change my switch.
yes. But I don't know if you want to tell for anybody else who's watching out there, just if you want to let them know where you work and when to tune in and all that great stuff.
Well, for if you listen to Beach 96.5, I'm on after Elvis Duran in the morning. That's not anything to brag about. No, so you can catch me on 10 o'clock, 10 to 2, Monday through Friday on the beach. You can find me on social media at AJBeach965, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, MySpace.
No.
Oh, good.
It's making a comeback.
Tips on
And I saw this.
And on the social media platform that connected us, which is Vero, you can find it at AJ Radio. So, thank you guys for having me again. This is fun.
What is AJ said?
Action Jackson.
Awesome.
No, I can get even weirder and say Ash Jacker, but no.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
No, actually, I was.
I'm an action Jackson, guys.
I was actually named after my grandpa, so I've known my AJ my whole life, so it's not like a radio name. But, Alan James.
Very nice. Way to be there, Tim.
Say, action Jackson, Alan James.
Alan
Get it.
Who
are you?
You?
Who?
Who are you?
Ferguson.
Oh.
Kill yourself again!
Third Ferguson.
I don't know that one.
Yes, you read that very well.
Really?
Well,
I know my name.
My name's Jared Ferguson.
Two Logan.
I'm still Izzy, don't panic.
Yeah, don't
Yeah, I'm still bad.
And I'm slightly panic.
You can just.
Nothing.
Just go to
It's
The
a
sweater
panic.
is hiding pits.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sweating. I am, but,
And
I'm Tim, and you can fill my inbox.
No,
Mail
yours.
Mail
Mail
I'm supposed to say
and my name's Lewis, and you are
Steve. I am Mike.
Thank you for watching.
Not Mike.
Mike. The council has spoken.
Okay.
Peace.
Cool.
Sucker has a